All right, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Painting with Victor Rigoli, and I have here on my little workbench the sketch that I did of the egret painting I'm going to do, and I'm going to start off doing it on a 12 by 16 gallery wrap canvas. But as I mentioned in some earlier videos, what I do is I sketch this out. I've got a sketch here, and I think it's like 6 inches by 4 inches. Got the water lilies in, the reeds in the background here, some sky, all that kind of stuff. And so what I do is I start by coming up with my plan, okay? And I know first thing I'm going to work on, number one, is going to be my sky, okay? I'm going to get the sky in first, and there's 3 little areas of the sky. All right. Then one of the things I want to do is the sky is going to be reflected down into the water, right? So I want to get some watercolors in, not watercolor paint, but the colors of water. We'll put that down there. So this is number 2. All this in here is number 2 area. Number 1 is up here. This is where we're going to be working. I could go in and put ones, the number 1 in there, and 2 in different places around in here. And I have done that before. Okay. Now, all right. So what I want to make sure of is we see that there is, according to my photo reference and my drawing, there's sky reflection colors or watercolor, colors of water, of the water. There's water all back in here, right? All around the egret, it's different colors. So I want to, even though the sky, you don't see as much of the sky, right, in this pencil drawing and even in the photo reference. We know the sky is on up further, right? Okay. If I were to bring this down, the photo down, or the pencil drawing down, and have my horizon line about right here where the pencil is, then I'm going to have a lot more sky. But I know the sky is there. The sky is reflecting into the water, so I have more water down in here. So water reflections are going to be all up in here. Okay, I'm going to have some water reflections in here, sparse throughout. I'm going to have reflections in here of the grass, the reeds, the spartina, that kind of thing. I'm going to have water reflections, or, the water's going to be down in here, sky reflection colors. And it might be good for me to just kind of take a look at my photo reference. And I'm going to go ahead and put a number 1 here, 1 there, 1 there. It's when I come back in here and say, okay, what do I want my color to be? What is going to be the mixture? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put that down. Right now, looking at the photo references that I have, I know I'm going to have some ultramarine, just abbreviate this with UMB, ultramarine blue, plus I'm going to have probably a little alizarin crimson in there, plus some titanium white, and may have a touch of Payne's gray. Okay, so this helps me to kind of get started. Now we'll use my little app on my phone. I'll import the picture into it, and I'll check the colors and see what it recommends as far as the sky colors. And I will use my little chart that I've shown in a previous video. And so when I go to mix my colors, I'll put that down and I'll have my color recipe there. But this is just kind of a guide here, okay? My watercolor, or the colors in the water or the pond, I know I'm going to have some ultramarine blue. It's going to be in there. I do have some violet. Let me erase that. Okay. I got some violet in there. I'm seeing maybe some alizarin crimson. I don't really see red. Excuse me. You know, I've got some what I'll call a light purplish color. And I'm just spelling that out, light purplish. Okay. I know I have some titanium white in there. Okay. All right. So that's going to give me some water. The colors down in here that don't have a lot of the grass Spartina reflections. Okay. So this is going to be a big area here, number 2. I'm also going to have some number 2 down in here, some over here. I'm going to have some on this side of the egret, maybe a little bit up in here, maybe. And I probably have just a little bit, maybe around in here. Okay, here. All right. So, and then it does come around in here. Okay. All right. So I want to get those. I want to get that in. And for this study, I'm not so concerned about the thickness of the paint. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it with a palette knife or not. I might, but I'm not sure if I want to or not. One of the things I've been exploring doing with this large painting is thickening the paint by using some medium, and that medium could be my liquid impasto. This is by Winsor and Newton. I also have some solvent-free gel by Gamblin. Okay, and I have some white paint that is Utric Artist Color Oil Series 1 white. This white paint, same pigment of the other titanium white, but it's a bit thicker. Okay, and when I painted my 30 by 40 painting, I used a lot of this white paint because it's thicker, and applying it with the palette knife just worked out extremely well. And so I've got about a half a tube here left. I do have another tube of Winsor & Newton Artist Oil Paint. I do have an order in with one of the online art supply companies that maybe before I start the large painting, I'll pull the trigger and order another tube of this, and maybe a tube or so of I like to use the Winsor & Newton white paint, titanium white. No endorsement for any of these. This is just what I use. Okay. So, all right. So I wanna make sure that these colors, the sky color gets dry, and these colors kind of get dry here with the water. Okay. Now there's going to be some space over here. There's going to be some water and reflection down in here, below kind of to, if this egret's facing us, we're seeing his left side, and on the right side, the back side, you can still see some of the water sky reflections down in here. But when you get over in here, this is where we're going to see the reflection of the bird down in here, because the sun is coming in like this. So you're getting your shadow coming down in here. So the sun's back over here and it's coming in, and so our shadow is going to be down in here. Okay. Now we do have some dark shadows up in here. Okay. So, you know, we know the sun is back, and it's probably a little bit lower. It's probably later in the afternoon. It could be afternoon. It could be 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so you're getting the shadows coming across that way. Okay. That's something that you have to take in consideration, is your light source. Where is my light coming from? And you can usually tell based off how your shadows are. Okay. All right. So But I will be putting in some colors in here, but probably I do want to make sure I've got enough of the various water, the colors of the water and sky reflections down in here. So when I do start applying the reflection of the bird in here, I definitely need to make sure I've got some of this color available for me to plug into this area around the reflection. Okay. But I'm thinking about having this a little bit thinner in nature so that it will dry a little faster. So then I can start working on, well, what do I want to start working on next? Okay. I want to go back up here to this area and work on this area next. This is my horizon line. It's a jig-jag, it's ziggy-zaggy kind of line. It's not just straight across. There's, it kind of juts in a little bit here, it juts in a little bit there. This is just, kind of how it goes. I'm just going to kind of use the pencil here on that to kind of show a little bit more about how it just kind of meanders around. And that's the way your marshes are. There's some places that just jut out a little bit more here, a little bit more there, that kind of thing. It goes in. You got some dark spots here and there. So just kind of making sure we get that in. So if it's dark up here on the grasses, I want to make sure I've got a dark reflection in the water too. So, and I'll use the same colors that are in the Spartina. I'll use them down here as well. And some may be a little darker, some may be a little lighter. It just kind of depends. But I'm going to start up here 3 and working on the Spartina. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line out here like this. Okay. All right, so all this area here, which comes into here, this is a number 3 area. This is the 3rd area that I'm going to work on in my painting. And based off the photo reference, I have multiple colors in here. I have a lot of different shades of green, values there of green. I've got I see some yellow ochre in there. I see some kind of golden colors. I see a little bit in my photo reference of some darker greens. It's almost got a blackish greenish tint to it in some places, like in the reflections up in here in the dark spots. I got some lighter greens. I see a little bit of maybe a hint of something like Naples yellow mixed with some greens and that kind of thing. And so this is all part of what's going to be in my photo, what I see in my photo reference and what's going to be in here, especially like right in here. Now I'm calling this my 3rd phase or 3rd area to work on. Then probably the 4th is going to be more of these reflections down here. And then I'll start working on maybe the bird and getting that in, and then working on water lilies and some grasses in the foreground. But I'm just going to make a note here of the Spartina, which is number 3. So I know I'm going to need some yellow ochre. I'm seeing some Naples yellow in my photo reference. I'm seeing some sap green. I'll probably use a little black mixed in with the sap green to give the darker reed color here in reflections in the water. I'm seeing some, let's see, just looking at the photo reference. I mean, there's all kinds of different values there, the green, but I know I'll need some cad yellow. I'm just going to put a CY cad yellow. I see a little bit, maybe some lemon yellow, okay, for some highlights. And that's pretty much it. Now I do see maybe some, it looks like a olive green color. Okay, that can be a mixture of some black and cad yellow. I might need to use some cad red or some red to kind of make it more neutral or more natural looking as far as the grass and everything is. So I'll get all that in and work on that. And that's going to be, when I do the big picture, the large painting, it's going to be thick paint. There's going to be a lot of thick paint up in here. Okay. A lot of thick paint. Then as I move down into the water area, so I'm going to work on these, I'm going to say Spartina reflections. Okay. I can't write and talk at the same time. So I got the water reflections down here, and I'm just going to try to put a 4 in there. Got a 4 here, 4 in there, 4 over here, 4 over here, 4 over here. Even got some 4 down in here. So yeah, I got all this little reflections here in this particular area. I could draw a line, to kind of, draw it out and say, hey, this is area 4, phase 4 of the painting. All right. So now there's going to be some thick paint down into the Spartina reflections as well. Okay. I'm trying to add more texture. I could use a little bit of cold wax, which I have some of that. I may have to get some more and adding that in to thicken up the paint and everything. Although this Utrecht white is thicker. I've done a little research on that. It's a bit thicker than the Gamblin and Winsor Newton brands. So I may stick with that, and that helps thicken that up a little bit. But I'll definitely have some thick paint in here, and I will come in and kind of blur some of this out using a palette knife to kind of make the water reflections. Okay, so there we go. So we've got 4 sections down. For my Spartina reflections, I'm just gonna kind of draw some arrows from up above with the color using the colors from number 3 down into number 4. Okay, so that's just a note, and I may say see number 3, for that. All right, so what should really be next? As you can tell, we're working from the back. We went ahead and get some reflections in the pond, getting some of that in because we're using some of the same colors. Went back up to the background, and got that as number 3. Then I'll work on number 4, getting that in. And you could do 3 and 4 at the same time. It's just that, hey, I want to get some of this in. And if I decide, hey, it took a long time to do this and it's late in the day and I don't want to spend another 2 or 3 hours working on the painting, I may stop for the day, come back in the morning and finish up and do section 4. It's up to you as to how you want to do it. Okay, it's totally up to you. This is your painting. This is just the process I use. Maybe you can learn something from it, that kind of thing. All right, so now, so I think probably what might be best, because I've got water around the bird, okay, and everything in, I'm going to put down egret. All right, so we're going to get the egret in. Now, the egret, I see a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Of course, there's some titanium white. I do see there's some, highlights in that bird. It may be a little, maybe some Naples yellow in there. There's probably either some raw umber or burnt umber and some black color for the legs here. Okay, so we'll have to just figure that out as to what looks good. There may be some highlights on there, some grayish color highlights on the legs. There's some shadow under under the egret, so we'll have to work on that. It's going to be some color. There may be a little reflection of water up onto the egret, so light is bouncing back up onto the egret. So there could be some violet in there. Okay. There could be, maybe some ultramarine blue, possibly. Okay, so that just kind of gives me an idea of some of the color combinations that I might use in painting this. There is going to be maybe some gray color, maybe, I don't know if I'll use black or something for the eye. It may be a brownish color. I'll have some shadow maybe in here, a little darker because the sun is coming from this direction. Okay, so the highlight's going to be on this side of the egret, top of the head, the side of the neck, the top of the body, and everything down. And then on this side, we're going to have more shadow. Okay, so this is going to be a neat little process of doing this egret. Okay. So we'll get that egret done. And at the same time, I'm just going to add this down here, is the egret reflection, okay, in the water. So while we have our paints out and the colors, we're going to be painting in some reflection in the water of our egret, okay. We know there's going to be some of the leg reflection there. We're going to have some of the darker colors here for the shadow. We have some of the yellow ochre and white colors up in here. All right, so we'll get all that in. All right, so that would take care of the egret. So I may just put like a number 6 right here, and he's a number 5. Okay, all right, so we got it. All right, now what's left? Looking at our drawing and our photo reference, we have water lilies to do, right? So we're going to have to put in a bunch of water lilies, and they are going to be different values of green. I'm just going to put greens in here, and they're kind of a leaning toward an olive green. So we're going to experiment with that, and see what our color combination should be and how we'll mix the water lily greens. There are some dark sides of the water lily, okay, kind of toward the bottom side of the water lily, a little bit on the darker side. There are some reflections down in here. So over in here, as we get the water lilies in, we do need to incorporate some of the darker ultramarine blues and things like that, and the pollen color, because of the reflection and shadow. Because with the light coming in this direction here, we're going to have down in the water, we're going to have some shadow, like down in here, okay, like this. And just kind of penciling that in so you can kind of get an idea of how that shadow would work. Okay, so we'll get those shadows in for our water lilies. All right, so we got a bunch of water lilies for 7. The water lilies, we got this section over here. We've got some up here, up here in this area, some across the middle, some around in here. There's also on both sides of the canvas. You got to remember that, because this canvas is a gallery wrapped canvas. And I'm just drawing this out here right now. And we know that the canvas goes back like this. And so we need to carry the scene over into the side, okay? Put you some water lilies over here. Okay, put some more water lilies right there. This one has like the little flower on it. Put another one or two over here. You know, a little flower. Same thing on the other side. You'll be doing that too. The top, if we just carry this line over so far like this, you may have a little bit of the Spartina up here. You're going to have sky. You could just come in and just paint this all the sky color if you wanted to. And you got sky color over here. You got the water here and the colors in the water. So you can't forget that. All right, so now that we got the water lilies in, one of the last things we'll do is we'll just put some reeds. Got some reeds here. Let's throw some of those reeds over here on this side too. But we got some reeds in the foreground. Okay, so I'm just going to put reeds. Now I'm just going to put a note. These are going to be darker green values. Okay. So we'll experiment a little bit with that and getting those mixed in. My photo reference has the same color of the water lilies and some of the other grass that's around for these, but I think I may darken these up a bit in the foreground. Okay. All right. So we'll just have to see, you know, how it comes out. So that's kind of it. I've got kind of eight steps here to go through. And so when I start the painting, I start with the sky, work on water, Spartina reflections. We're going to knock the egret out, get him painted. Then we're going to do reflections of the egret. We're going to put our water lilies in. And the water lilies will also have the flowers. So I want to put that in here. The flowers are going to consist of, there's some titanium white in there. There's maybe some alizarin crimson. There may be some reddish colors in there, and may have some yellows in there. Okay, with the little flowers. So, but don't want to forget that. So we've got several places here where we've got the little flowers, and you know, you can add as many as you want. I think I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. You may put a little bit up here in the distance, just a little bit. Does it help make that area pop? One thing that's really good about the colors that we're using here is you've got complementary colors. You've got red and green complementary colors. So, you know, there may be some color that you can use to help make that pop and everything. So I think that's going to be good. There's a color that I like to use too. It's a quinacridone magenta color, and I probably will use some of that in the water lilies. Okay, in the flower, and it really looks good against the greens and everything. So I mean, it really makes everything pop around it and everything. So I'm excited about that. So and that's something to think about too, is you know, using some complementary colors and how we can make those accent things and make things pop, you know, by having those close proximity to each other. And it's really amazing to see how that works. But anyway, guys, appreciate you watching the video here today. Thanks for tuning in. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on any future content. We got more stuff coming out here in the future. We're getting all the preliminary things done. One of the things now that I have to do, since I've got it sketched out, and I did a video of that, I've got it sketched out on the little 12 by 16 canvas. I'm going to take that canvas out in the garage here shortly, and I'm just going to spray a light coat of workable fixative on it to seal that sketch. And the next thing will be, I'm really seriously looking at doing maybe toning the canvas with some transparent red oxide, or maybe some transparent yellow oxide or something like that, maybe some burnt sienna, and getting it toned out, and then also coming in and adding some lights and darks and shapes and everything with those colors. And then we'll let that dry completely before we start adding our colors and fleshing out the painting. And but that's just another phase, another step in the process. If I do that, I'll do a video on that so you can see how that works. But anyway, give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.